So guys, we finally found the time to enter the Wagon shop and start the Wagon dream. This F81 M3, soon to be F81, long story short, has been severely lagged on because of the business. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, God bless y'all so much for reaching out and supporting the business. It's been taking so much more time. We've been getting some more people in, but even then, it still needs my undivided attention, unfortunately. But I mean, it's fortunately, but also unfortunately, because God bless, I love Natty Auto Parts. But at the same time, guys, I really want to build this wagon, and I think it's gonna be super sick because we're gonna be making this thing even mintier than the E91 M3, which we have not given up on. For those of you guys who do not follow me on Instagram, make sure to follow me on there. I've actually been posting a lot of driving stuff now on from all the wagon content, especially the E91 M3. That thing's getting pulled out of the shop and getting its raw bearings done, which hopefully a video on that will be coming here soon. Once the raw bearings get done, I'll have a lot more confidence driving that car. That car's making some seriously weird clanking sounds when I start it up, and I have a feeling and I suspect that it is the bearings. So we'll know here soon because it's at my boy's shop, and he'll let me know what's going on with my car exactly. Now, worst comes to worst, if it needs an engine, we have engines. But, end of the day, I have to buy it from my business, which will still cost a lot of money. And I really don't want to go through that right now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it does not need an engine, and it just needs bearings. That's pretty much the main reason why I'm not driving that car right now. It only has 120,000, 118,000 miles, but for some reason, the clank is really bad. It could be because I like to start up the car and give it revs. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been doing that so I can hear that Valvetronic exhaust. Lesson learned, don't do that in cold starts. So what you guys see right over here is an F31, just the base. If you guys haven't seen the last couple of videos on this thing, make sure to check out the last couple of videos actually stripping this thing down. We already got most of our money back out of this thing, just parting it out. So at this point, the wagon, the way it sits, is a good foundation for the F81 M3 project. What you guys see right over here is our donor car. We pretty much just took this shell from Natty Auto Parts, set it here in the shop so we can actually start removing brackets, lines, a bunch of pieces that we think we're gonna end up needing on our wagon, transfer all that stuff over, and also compare wiring so we can actually get the drivetrain here as soon as possible. My boy Nick told me that most likely we're not gonna have to transfer the entire body harness over to that car, which would be an absolute dream. We'll end up finding out whether or not we actually have to or not, but in the meantime, right now, we don't have to, which would save us a lot of time and prevent us from having to strip down the whole headliner, which is black and it looks phenomenal. I want to keep all that stuff in there. The entire trunk assembly is fully complete and untouched. All the wiring for the rear end is perfect. So I'm really hoping that we don't have to go ahead and remove that entire body harness, strip this car down, and move all that over. But again, he did the research and supposedly we do not, which would be an absolutely amazing build. Also making it much easier to do than the E91 M3. That was a pain in the butt, but at the end of the day, worth it because I love that car. So I know a lot of the videos in the past, I've been doing a lot of talking, just giving you guys updates. Today is the day I came in on my Saturday just to make sure I film you guys a good jam-packed video. So let's go ahead and knock out as much things as we can in the hours that we have here. And I want to go ahead and work on the engine bay first, so we can actually get the drivetrain in here and potentially start it in the near future. So that being said, let's go ahead and start removing things that we don't need here and start transferring things over from the F81. And I'll also let you guys know if any of the part numbers over here is interchangeable, so you guys don't have to actually transfer these things over in case you're also building yourself an F81 M3.
Feel like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you push it 40. You can never little bro me.
So guys, I went ahead, removed the original expansion tank, and I put on the M3 one. The only difference is this one had a blue cap and the other one had a black cap. I don't know if I just threw it right over here somewhere. Long story short, I went ahead and looked at this again because it didn't look like much difference. It literally just looks like it's missing that middle pump right there, which I think is for the front bumper windshield washer system, which obviously the M3s don't have. Or at least this one didn't have it in particular. This bracket had the exact same part number as the one on the M3 as well. The only thing that was different, this one had a blue cap and then this one had a black cap. So technically you could just swap over the caps. Everything else looks literally identical. I'll put it side by side and it looks identical. The reason why I actually swapped this over is because of my E91 M3, it was completely different. So I guess this, if you guys are doing this conversion, you don't need to get this. At least for now, I don't think so. So for now, this is the first thing we got done. Whether or not that was an upgrade or I may have caused an issue, we'll figure that out later. But for now, we deleted something It's something clearly this M3 didn't have that's fully loaded, so I can kind of accept that. We'll see what that is. Because if it does have something to do with water getting to the front bumper, we just deleted that, so I think we're moving in the right direction. I think that's pretty much the only difference, is that the windshield wash fluids don't go to the front bumper. Now, anywho's, which in other words, this line should stay dry. So anywho's, at this point, guys, I did notice there was an issue here. There is no screw hole right here that holds the carbon fiber V-brace. So we are already running into a frame thing. As you guys can see, this little brace right here holds the carbon fiber strut brace to make that beautiful V. So long story short, this screw screws into each other, so it's not a big deal, but this one screws into the body of the car. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to drill a hole and thread that and probably test fit it when we actually have the carbon brace sitting on the car. But we do have to remove this because that's something our wagon does not have. Now, so this says 15901 and this one says 15301. So this is a different part number, and actually it looks like the difference is this one has a fuse or a relay right there. The other one had a connector, and I'm assuming that connector is for something in the engine bay. So let's go ahead and swap out that box, unplug these connectors, swap that over, and then also see if this is the same on the M3.
I'm the one they envy, Brody, moving state to state, make $1 million out the semi, plus I grinded from the start. I was stacking pennies, I might dip like Machiavelli. After the confetti, who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who?
Okay, guys, so we got pretty much everything we needed out of that compartment to remove this guy with a different part number. Let's go ahead and get it from our F80, get it reinstalled, and make sure if any of our wiring is different in this section. Unfortunately, a lot of the things on this side is different, so you won't be able to reassemble much over here. The DSC pump is different, the brake booster is different, so all that is going to have to get replaced, and the wiring that actually comes from here, the transmission and all the other stuff, is actually different. So before we actually replace all that stuff, we need to make sure we tap in all those wires, do those wires properly before reinstalling that stuff, because if we reinstall, we're gonna have to uninstall anyways. Thankfully, the brake lines look like they're all in the exact same location, so we're not gonna have to replace those. On the M3 E91, they were all like not routed this exact same way as the M3, so we had to get that rerouted. Long story short, we are graving the Navy on that. So let's go ahead and go to the M3 and get out this piece. So after carefully looking at the M3 and having this side by side, we found the thing that makes it the most different. So looking at this one right here, these almost look literally identical to the one that's on the M3. The only difference is there's actually like a screw hole right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. On this one, there's nothing there. So that's one of the differences. That's pretty much the only noticeable difference that I could see. And then the cable that was mounted here, I thought was part of this. Unfortunately, that cable goes down there and actually looks like it goes underneath the whole undercarriage of the car. So we need to find out where that cable goes, grab this, and actually grab it from the M3 and transfer it over to our wagon. So I guess the first thing we gotta go ahead and do is actually jack up this donor car and see where the wiring for that positive cable goes, because we're gonna need to do that to get our M3 properly wired up. At this point, guys, I'm thinking me and Nick severely underestimated this project. Even though most things kind of look similar, they are different. So unfortunately, with that cable, this cable and this piece right here, they actually get routed down here in the wheel liner, which is not a big deal. Down here underneath the car, which is no big deal, that just dangles. I'm pretty sure it does the same thing in the F31, but then it goes above the fuel tank, above the rear end, and then it goes to the rear battery compartment. So long story short, before we actually tackle this, we weren't gonna swap out the fuel tank, so we're just gonna swap out the fuel pumps, but at this point I'm gonna have to drop the fuel tank on both cars. So I guess we're just gonna swap over the fuel tank, swap over all the pump lines and everything. So it looks like we're gonna have to do this regardless now, and then the same goes with the rear end with the differential and all that stuff. The differential has some wiring as well, we're gonna have to route down. So I need to go down to Harbor Freight and get jack stands and just drop both rear ends of the car, and literally, before touching anything for the exterior of the car, I have to literally strip it down completely undercarriage on both cars. I thought I can go ahead and start putting things on that car, but it looks like we are far from it. We still need to strip down both cars completely. So at the moment, I actually have 0 jack stands at my disposal because all my jack stands are being used at Natty Auto Parts. So I actually need to get some new jack stands, 4 different sets, So 2 front, 2 rear, 2 front, 2 rear to get this all on 4s, and then actually start dropping the rear ends on both cars and swap over the fuel pumps and fuel tanks and everything. So again, a wagon build is not easy. I thought it was just going to be simple stuff, but already, guys, every plastic that I've removed looks kind of identical, but is different. Every single part number over there is different. All these little shields and plastics and hoses are different. So again, I mean, I don't know about the whole harness, but we'll find out about that. Meantime, we're gonna have to ship them both down anyways. And I guess if we have to swap out the harness at that point, we'll already be there. So I started off with the easiest thing, and I thought this build was gonna be so easy, but this is the least of my worries. This just has to be different. That's just crazy. I don't know why they have to have different grounds for M3s and 328s. I feel like it should be no difference, but it is what it is. All right, guys. So at this point, I'm just going to keep removing more and more things off this car because at this point, it really doesn't matter if I lose the screws or lose these pieces. When we take it off there, we'll place it on there, transfer everything over. So let's just go ahead and go rampage and get all of this stuff off the car. All of these little stupid shields.
Just wanna pack up my things and go. Just wanna be free, just wanna zone. Just wanna flow, just wanna hang with the gang, but sometimes chill on my own. Just wanna do me, just wanna doze. Just wanna live and see how it goes. And the goals just keep on going, yeah. This life we live is a roll. When there's love in the rave, you know. When there's love in the rave, you know. All inside you, all in the soul, 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 soul. You know when the calling's calling you, when the calling's calling more. You know when the calling's calling you, it's calling, calling more, 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 more. You know when the calling's calling more, more. You know when the calling's calling.
So guys, we got the front end pretty much stripped. At this point, there's nothing here other than just 2 hoses, but I don't have the tool for that right now. And that end link, I just have to hammer off that I can do from the engine bay directly. So to actually remove the brake booster, I removed the brake pump. But this section right here, I need to actually get the dash out and remove the 4 screws that are underneath it to get this thing pulled out this way. So at this point, this is fully stripped down, ready for some of the parts to actually move from that car to this car. So before we can get into that, I do want to get this engine bay fully gutted, fully stripped completely. So I want to get that brake booster out of there. Plus, we need to access the wiring behind the dash from the wiring up there to the wiring to the fuse box. We do have to get this dashboard out regardless. So let's go ahead, just remove a couple more things, get this dashboard out, get the cluster out, get it completely out so we can remove that brake booster pump and access the fuse box.
You know when the call is calling more.
Alright guys, small update, got the dash out of the car, got pretty much everything stripped off the front, so that's just chilling over there right now. So at this point, we just have to go ahead and release the screws and everything for the brake boost. I believe there's 1 clip to the brake pedal, and then 4 screws, and I think we have to also release a brake line to get this brake booster out. Whether or not this is different, an M car, definitely the steering is different, so we want to make sure that we get the same steering feel and everything, same brake pressure and everything as an M car. So to do a proper build, let's go ahead and replace this, even though I think we can get away with just leaving this in. I don't know if because I removed absolutely everything else out of the way, but this brake booster is actually easy to get out, surprisingly, I think. I think I speak a little too soon right there, but I think, yeah, she's out. That's crazy. That's the easiest brake boost I've ever removed out of a car. So the F8X chassis is questionably very easy to remove. So that's pretty sick, pretty sick. It's literally held on by 2 bolts, 1 screw that goes through the pedal, and then a few brake lines. Nothing crazy. These are the 2 brake lines that went onto, oh dear heavenly Lord, I am ruining my paint. I want to retain the Alpine white paint, so we want to make sure that we don't damage the paint anywhere in this engine bay. I really want this car, unlike my E91 M3, to have all original paint other than the quarter panels and the rear bumper, because those have to get converted. But I want the rest of the car to have all original paint, even the front end panels. I want them to be Alpine white, and I don't want to paint anything. I want it to be as factory as possible on this car. So that being said, guys, we did get everything out of the way. Everything's looking super good. I'm super happy about that. All of our brake lines are just chilling there right now. So that is good. We got the dashboard out. I think we completed a good amount of stuff for today. Reason being also I have to go pick up some family at the airport, so I got to get going. But long story short, I'm happy with the progress on this car. I do need to get 4 jack stands. This thing does need a lot more work than I thought to convert into an F80 M3. But end of the day, like the E91 M3, I have 0 regrets. So because this video is going to be kind of short and not where I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and extend this video, but also pushing the content upload 1 week further, unfortunately. I hope I can get back to this shop and work on it throughout the week. I'll keep you guys posted. So long story short, this video is not effectively over. I'll see you guys another day. We're back, guys. This is Tuesday, and we're back with the wagon. Let's go ahead and get this thing on 4 jack stands. We got brand new jack stands from Amazon, the Amazon special. Hopefully I don't die, and those jack stands actually do their job properly. So we got that F81 M2 on to put on 4 jack stands, and we also have this wagon, so we can go ahead and go back and forth and get all the parts we need. So let's go ahead and get them on all 4s.
Hey, all work, no pleasure. I ain't here to make friends, big stepper. Hey. Bad guy, Heath Ledger. Ready for wherever, I'll be front and center. Don't fly too close to the sun, your body chopped up by propellers. Came in arrogant, but left out in a stretcher. The comparison, y'all know y'all couldn't replicate it. Chilling in the desert, I'm good under pressure. Stick around with me, hold it down, look at what we found. This a marathon, not a sprint, let's go 100 miles. On the ground with me to the clouds, never coming down. That's the crown on me, wear it proud, show 'em what we bout. Stick around with me, hold it down, look at what we found. Said this a marathon, not a sprint, let's go 100 miles. On the ground with me to the clouds, never coming down. That's the crown on me, wear it proud. What they was talking about, all work, no pleasure. I ain't here to make friends, big stepper. Hey, bad guy, Heath Ledger. Ready for wherever, I'll be front and center. Quick to sever, however, whoever. Raining from above, we shooting down through your
So we got the wheel liner out, we got the car on all 4 jack stands. Right now, if I release this jack, the whole car will start tipping backwards. So we do have to drop the rear end real quick. Now, unfortunately, the tools that I have here are not strong enough to drop this rear end, so I have to head back to the other shop to get the proper tools. But as soon as I get back, I'm gonna be dropping all 4 bolts. I think theoretically, this thing should just drop straight out. I also need to get some wire cutters because I think the e-brake lines are still connected to the front, which we are gonna be replacing, but yeah, we do need to actually get those out. Actually, to do it properly so we don't damage anything, I'm actually just gonna release them right there. We do have the center console out right now, so it does make life easier. Once we actually do that, we can go ahead, take out the 4 bolts for the subframe, and this whole rear end should theoretically just drop because we did disconnect literally everything.
Stick around with me, hold it down, look at what we found. Said this a marathon, not a sprint, let's go 100 miles. On the ground with me to the clouds, never coming down. That's the crown on me, wear it proud. What they was talking about.
Just like that, guys, we got the rear end out of the 328. Guys, absolutely everything is shot on this suspension. It's actually crazy how this car was actually running. This thing was honestly knocking on one side, but I'm shocked it's not knocking on both sides. This thing's in a little bit better shape, but it's still super rough. All the bushings and whatnot is absolutely messed up. This bad boy is torn up. I mean, this car right here, even though it's a beautiful M Sport Alpine White with red interior, is definitely still getting a transformation to an Alpine White F81 with a secure red extended leather interior. This is look absolutely amazing, and we're giving it all 45,000 mileage parts from the donor car, so it's definitely gonna get newer parts and also so much sicker. Not gonna lie to you guys, it's been a minute since I'm dropping parts on a car. I do know what I'm doing, so I'm a lot more experienced than I was when I was building the E91 M3, but it's still a lot of work. Still absolutely a lot of work, and it's still no fun on jack stands. This shop right over here that I currently have, I don't really know if I'm gonna be staying in here long term. I am looking at other options. This one just in particular has a few things I'm just not too big of a fan of. So I'm trying to find a shop that pretty much has all the things that I want. One of them being a place so I can wash my hands. There's no bathroom here. So it absolutely sucks to film in here. There is no sink, there's no bathroom, there's no nothing. So if I gotta go use the restroom, I have to go back to the other shop. If I have to go wash my hands, I have to pretty much just use a water bottle. So yeah, it kind of sucks when you're building cars. When you're just dropping off parts, it's not a big deal, but when you're working on a project, it's a little bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie. That being said, guys, the reason why we had to drop the rear end right now and get it on 4 jack stands is we're actually trying to figure out where this cable goes. So right now, we did follow that it goes right down here, and it goes to the undercarriage, but it still goes above the fuel tank. So we do need to drop this fuel tank to see where that positive cable is going and see where it's going for, and see where it's it's going to in the back of the trunk so we can get it disconnected and transfer over the F81 version. I don't know if you guys can see over here, it definitely comes somewhere back here, but in order to route it properly, we do have to drop the fuel tank as well. Now, I'm sure there's a way to do it without dropping the fuel tank, but I'm gonna drop the fuel tank mainly because the fuel tank I think is the same, but the fuel sending unit and the fuel pump are different. And it just would make life easier just to drop the whole fuel tank, replace the cable super easily without having to go around the fuel tank, and then just put the whole F80 M3 fuel tank in there with the proper sending unit, with the proper fuel pump. Bada bing, bada bang, we are good to go. Plus lower mileage. Can't really lose with that. Better seals and all that good stuff. So that being said, in this episode, I want to be able to knock out the undercarriage absolutely, so we can actually go underneath there and start putting in some new lines and some new hoses. So the only thing that's getting in my way right now is that fuel tank. So let's go ahead and drop the fuel tank so the undercarriage is completely stripped of 328 parts. So guys, the F31, we officially dropped the fuel tank, officially dropped everything on that car. I was actually gonna wait even longer to get some more things knocked out and start putting some things on the car, but I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just drop this video, give you guys kind of an update on what's going on with the wagon. It's officially fully stripped down and ready for some parts to be slammed on that car. Hopefully in the next video, I plan on dropping the fuel tank, the rear end, potentially the front subframe, maybe get on all fours with M suspension. So hopefully that's going to be in the next video. I'm trying to knock this stuff out. I'm sorry, I have so much other things going on. We actually picked up an E91 M Sport. If those of you guys who follow my Instagram, you guys probably saw that. And I found an E91 M Sport wagon. It took me 2 years, guys, 2.5 years to find this wagon, and I literally bought it for the headliner. So that car, very expensive headliner, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, now I have an E91 M Sport, which is super sick. So that, I'm going to be making a separate video on that. We picked up the car from auction, rebuilding it all, taking what we need from it, and posting that thing up for sale most likely. So that's going to be super crazy. And then also, we picked up another wagon. It's kind of crazy. Long story short, more videos to come. But without further ado, it's going to have to conclude this video. I love y'all so much. Remember to stay hard, boss. On the next one, peace out.
Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better.